this um, uh, pre-calculated sizes, if you will. So that's how H1 looks, H2, H3, H4. So if you notice, they're also bolded. So they're used mostly for titles. So usually the beginning of the web page will have a H1 tag or a H2 tag. So let's do something simple for now. Let's say my sample website. Okay, and then in the body, you're gonna put pictures, text, whatever you wanted to go in there. Videos, if it's an app, you can, if it's a game, whatever. So let me get some. Paragraph here. Okay. So right now it's a p tag. Let's put that in there. Okay. Oh, really? Okay. Tell me I have to log in. It's not free anymore. All right. So let me pull one more just so I can show. Okay. I think that's enough. Okay. All right. So we have this for now, but it doesn't look the way we want to. So how do we do that? So for example, usually um, the title is in the middle, or these are in boxes, so that the readability is easier. You can just go here. Okay, that's part one, part two. So right now it doesn't look that great. So in CSS, let me see, we have a few ways of fixing that. So this is the basic syntax of CSS. So we have the selector, and then we have the declaration. It's pretty much what's going to happen to that item. So the selectors are class, and we have IDs. So the classes are accessed by dots, and then the hashtag is for ID, or the pound sign. Um, there's another one where if you don't specify which one it is, then I'll just choose everything on that page. So for example, uh, if I want to choose all the p tags, so I just say p tag, and then that's gonna select all the p tags on my code. If I give the p tag a certain class, so I can say class um, my paragraph or my p. Okay, so I can only access this one if I say that my p. Okay, and then there's another way which is the ID. So I say ID, and I can say my p too. Okay, and then I put the hashtag here, my p too. Okay, so p is grabbing everything because I didn't specify anything. And then we have dot my p is for class. So classes are mostly used when you have a lot of things to style, because if you use ID, it would precede the class. So whatever I write inside of this one, it's gonna override whatever is in the class. So for example, let me make the text red, so I can say color. Color is red. And then here I can say boot. There you go. So the color is always for the text. If you wanna change the background, now every tag, I look at it as if it's a box. The one thing that I do when I'm trying to put something together is I always make a border around it, just so that I know how it looks at the moment, and then I can from there give it a different dimension. So for example, let me do it here. So I can say border 1px. Okay, so I can see how it looks right now, where it's located at. Sometimes you create a tag and you don't put anything inside of it, so you don't know where it is. So this just helps to visualize and see how you can style it, how you can make it different, how you can change it. So for example, if I want the text to be more, a little more to the center, like so that it's not touching the edges of the box, then let me see. Okay, so there's two things. There's the margin, and you also have the padding. So the margin is gonna say how far it should be away from other objects. So let me make that visual for you. Okay, so right now we have two boxes. Now this space in between each of the objects, that's gonna be the margin, but the space inside of it, so from its own walls to the content, that will be called the padding. Okay, so you see here, this one has 5px, and it looks like that. And then this one has 25. So see how the space I grew is the one that's inside of the box that will touch the contents. And then the margin one is the one that is in between each object. Okay, so yeah, that looks like that. Make it a little bigger, just perspective. See? So yeah, and so any questions so far? Nothing? Okay. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so far we have been working with text and a few of the beginner tags. Some of the other things that are very popular, I mean, that you use mostly are images and videos. So let's add some images. So there's two ways to add images. The first one is you can either download it, put it on your computer, put it in your folder, in the folder of your project. And if you do it like that, they must be together in the same folder. It cannot be like on your desktop and then your project is in another folder. You know, that will create an error right away. And the other part, which I prefer, and I think it's a little more practical, it's you can put the link of the image. You know, it's always online. You don't need to worry about what folder it's in. The only thing that you need to worry about is, you know, maybe the website goes down and then the 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 link will not be able to will not be available anymore. So let's see. Images. Why I put free images is because a lot of images are sold. So if you use them on a commercial project or on an actual job, then you can be subject to somebody suing you, or But if you get the free ones, these are all free. They don't need a license and so on. So I just use this ones for um, practice purposes. So you just copy the address, and then you create a image tag. So that looks like this image. This one does not have a closing tag. This one is self-closing. So, and here you put the source, SRC, that's the address of the picture. The out, that's alternate, that's in case the link is down, it's gonna show something in here. So whatever the image is of, I think it's clouds, so I can put clouds here. And then put it like that just to show you what happens. So you see here, it says clouds because I didn't find the picture. Now I put the address in the source, and there we go. Now we have a picture. And the same things that I explained to you for the boxes apply to the picture as well. So the margin and the padding are the same thing. When you create a border around a picture, it's gonna look just like that, except the picture will be just like the text in here. So if I put a padding, you have a big box around that, around the picture, and then the picture will be centered. So let's, right now it's looking a little bit messy. So let's just put everything, just make everything a little neater. So let's see here. Some webs. Okay. So you can do it. There's a few ways of doing it. The way that I prefer is to do everything on CSS with CSS, but you can also write CSS in here inside of the tag. That's another of the attributes, but I prefer just to do it on the actual CSS page because it has better readability, and I can just come in here. I know everything that is going to change. My element is going to be in here. For now, I am going to center it. So you can say center with another tag, the center tag. You'll get a center, but the way that I prefer to do it is through here. So you have a H1. I put H1 here because this is the only H1 that I have at the moment. But remember, if you have more than one, they're all gonna change when you do anything here in the CSS. So it's better to give it an ID or a class. Since we only have one, ID will be the choice for me. So that's gonna be called the title. And then that's an ID. So I'm gonna use the pound sign or hashtag. I'm gonna say title. Okay. So now I want it centered first. The attributes for text are gonna be text dash, and then there's a range of things that you can do: text align, text size, you name it. Here in the third slide, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't put it here. Okay. So what I use my my reference book. Okay. So for beginners, the reference book is W3 Schools. So I say beginner because this one has a better layout. So it just gives you a little bit of the code example here, and it's a little bit it's easy to read, and you can also try it. I'll show you how it works in here, and then they also have a lot of other things you can choose from. So right now we're using text. Okay. Okay, so when you click on the text here, you have color, alignment, decoration. Decoration is like underline, um, uh, something that goes over the text too, like if you want to cross it out. Transformation is for the size, and then like spacing, that's um, those are not used as frequent. I mean, I don't use them as frequently. And then you have the shadow for if you want to style it a little better. But these are some of the things that we're gonna do. For now, we're gonna pick alignment. So that's text alignment. Now we're gonna start center and semicolon. Yeah, everything has a semicolon on at the end. Okay. Now for the color one, I didn't have to type the text in the front, so that one just works automatically. And notice that the color means the text, and then if you say background color, that's gonna work on the back of that box. That's why I like to have that black line around it so that I know where it is, how it looks like, and then if I need to change it, then I have a current reference of how it looks. Okay, so background color is for the actual background, and then the color is just for the text. Only text. If you have a picture in here, the picture will not change color, even though it is the content of that tag. So it will not work for the picture. But there's other filters you can use on it. You can even put a div on it, and then you can do it like that. You can put a film on it, or you can actually make its background a certain color, and then you can open up padding a little bit, and then it will look like it has, you'll see the background behind it pretty much. Okay, so let's continue here. So for text, there's a few things that make your life easier, such as bold, the size of the text, and stuff like that. So they're used in this manner. So let's take this part right here. What is this? So a B tag is for bold. So you see here, now this is the only part of the text that is bold. Like I said before, I prefer to do it right in here, but in this case, if you want to do a certain part of that whole paragraph, you can just come in here, isolate it, and do it like that. Instead, I will have to like come in here and pick the part that I need, and then put a tag around it, and then go in here in the CSS and do it. So, for example, I can come in here and make that a div. Div is for a division. So now this is a separate element inside of my P element, which is a paragraph element. So let me give it an ID. So this is the title, subtitle. Okay, and then I can say text size, and then you pick 5 pixels. So whenever you don't know uh, what kind of units something use, I always go always on that same website. I'll leave 3. Text size, you do it just like that, and that'll be a while till you can remember all of them. So I recommend just doing it like that every time you need something. You know, you have a reference right there. look how many things there are just for that, just for the sake of that single box. So that'll tell you right here how to use it. So that's, you type it like that, font size, and then I use is pixels. You can also use large. That's a pre um, calculated size, or you can use percentage here on the bottom too. So percentage is compared to the size of the the actual website. So if I say here body, so this is how I choose to do something for the whole website. So with the body tag, so let's say I want the width to be 115, 1500 pixels, and then the height 700 pixels. So it's gonna go based on whatever you have here. So let's say font. 4 pixels from now. So that's the size of 4 pixels around, and then we can use the percentage part. Let's see the large one first. Large. I don't really use so much like that. I always calculate it. So I guess that's around like a H5, H4. That's the size of the large, and then we have the percentage one, 100%. See how that looks like. All right, so that was around the H3, H2, no, H4, H5. Okay, and then here we have 100 pixels. All right, so you can see how the differences between using the different units. So the most manageable one will be with pixels. That'll be the fastest one, and visually when you're building something, as opposed to the other ones who are just pre-calculated, and then there's not a lot of it's just better to work with a pixel one. Okay, then besides the size, we can make it have different fonts. So you do that with font family. Now there's a few ways to do this. So there are a few that are preloaded already in CSS. And if you want to use your own, all you have to do is you go to Google Fonts. Then you pick the one you like. So let's just pick this one. And then here, there's other characters too that you can use. Let me see. Here, it lets you choose how you want it. If you want a certain with a certain size or a certain style, but we can also do that in the CSS. So I just need to grab the family for now. Let me see. I guess right now we can download it. There's another way that I gives you a link. Change a little bit. Okay, so right here we have that. You can take this. I used to give it in a box before where it was pretty obvious where it was, but I guess now they put it here. But pretty much you take this, and this one's called ladle. You copy that. And then you can put it in your head of your HTML. All right, so what this does is it links the font to your file, and then you can use it in your website. So that was Coledo. So say font family, Coledo. Okay, so here on this sidebar, I guess right now you have to click on that on this plus sign on the way that you want it. And let me see on the regular. Okay, so I'll give you the actual file. I mean the actual link. I believe it's the same one that I have. It looks a little bit different. I just put this one just in case. And then this is how you use it right here. It gives you how to use it too. But that's not the one that I chose. So let me see, that's Roboto, Leo. Okay. So I'm gonna copy this. Place it with this. There we go. And then it's Roboto. Just copy this whole thing. Right. And there we go. Now we have that that font family from Google Fonts. Then there's a few of them that are already included in CSS, such as serif, sans serif, but those are just the styles of the text. So for example, see how this one, the edges are just straight. That's what sans serif does. And then if you do just the serif one, then it changes slightly. You're not able to see it here. And then you have the one where it creates like the hooks around the legs of the text. Like, and that's a little more advanced. We'll go over that a little later. And you don't really use it unless you're really looking for a specific text, and then you can just fix it like that in that manner. Okay, so right now let's do something with the picture. So for the picture, we were gonna do the same thing. We're gonna add an ID so that we can access it. We'll call it pick one. Okay. So you can add borders to it. You can change its shape. You can add filters on it and a lot of stuff like that. So for now, let's learn the basic part. So one thing that you'll see a lot is the borders are not cornered anymore in a lot of websites. So Let's create a border first. So let's 3px so that we can see it. Okay, and then you have solid. Let's make it green. Okay. So what solid is just a type of line that's going to be created around here. There's a few of them, and then like you can use the same thing here. Go on here, CSS, border types. So we have dotted, we have dashed. Solid is the one that I always use because I just want to see it. I don't care how it looks. We have a double one, then we have some 3D ones. So yeah, you can take your pick from here, or you can have none, or you can make it hidden. If you wanted to have a space between something else, there's still going to be a border there. It's just going to be hidden, but the space around it will not change. So let's try another one. Dotted. Okay, so see how that changes. Then we have roof. Bigger. Seen. Okay, so yeah, that's how it looks. If it's too small, you cannot see it. Now let's just keep it solid. Okay. All right. Now there's border radius. Okay, so the border radius is just gonna make the corners round. So if you want it to be a perfect circle, what you do is you make this the amount of pixels that will equal the half of the amount of the width. If this was a perfect square, in this case it's not, so we're not gonna get a perfect circle. But we can say 50%. Now, I've said it many times, like just to try it out, and you get a oval shape since the picture is not a perfect square. But you can also do it with pixels if you don't want it like that. You can say around 15%, and then you get a nice edge. A little more, maybe 25. All right. And yeah, then you can manipulate your image like that. The way that the border works is in this case, you're targeting all the sides. But let's say I only want the top or the left side or the bottom side to change. So how do I do that? So I can either say which part of the border I want. So border and then dash. So we have top, we have left, bottom, or right. So let's start with the top. So we want it to be, let's see. Maybe two. Okay. Let's say black. All right, let's leave it green so you can see. That's what I'm saying. Give it 3px. So, okay, so now you see. Bigger. Okay, so now only the top has a border because we said border top. So you can do the same thing. We have left. Right. Okay, easier way, the way that I use it is also you can target different sites in the same line. So the way it goes is clockwise. So it starts at the top, it goes to the right, it goes to the bottom and left side. What does that mean? So I start at the top. So I want a border of 10 px at the top. I don't want nothing on the right. I don't want nothing on the bottom. I don't want nothing on the left. So what does that look like?
Okay, everyone is having fun. Yeah, Ludwig. Oh, there's just a reply from Jacksepticeye, my test player. Nice.
No, that's not working. In this editor. Okay. Okay, so for now, we can use those. So just choose the one that you like. If you want more than one, let's say I only want the top and the left one, because for now we gotta just choose it on that side. So 10px.
There's no.
Back. Okay.
I'll give you another example.
On the top. Down here you say left. So we got those two. You can do it like that in this case. All right, and then let's talk about the margin. The picture. Okay, so let's create another picture. Okay, let me put that also.
So someone like not a top level. It's not really important. I mean, I think it definitely can be in terms of well, very shortly regarding whether chess. There's very sweet. I can't.
All right, here's blocking me for some reason. Okay. All right. So now we have two pictures side to side. So if we have many and we want to style them together, the options that we have are we can give it specific margins so that they're apart from each other and whatever specific measurement that we give it. Or there's another tool that is called Flexbox that has a grid. We'll do this later on. For now, we'll start just with the regular margin. So I say image. Okay. So all the images are gonna have a left margin of let's say 50 pixels. So we're gonna say margin left. This works the same way as the border. So you can put all the measurements in here clockwise. So we start at the top left. So we don't want nothing on the top. We can say 50 pixels. No, 0 on the right, 0 on the bottom, and 50 pixels on the left. Okay, so that's the way that you can select all the sides of all the pictures in one shot. And now, let's say, even though I didn't put anything in here, the other way to do it will be left, and then you will just be targeting that left side, and then you get the same thing in here. Then you can do the same thing on the top, but again, if you don't want to write them all out like that, you can just say margin, and we'll say 50 pixels at the top, All right. Then they all move accordingly. Now Flexbox, it's kind of similar. There's there's a little there's a few things that are just like easier to manage. But yeah, pretty much you're just styling the whole div in a certain way so that it looks so that you can have the same measurement so that it looks neat pretty much. So after that, the other stuff is you can make the image switch with other images. Let's say when someone clicks on it, or as time goes by, you can just do like a little slideshow. You can make the pictures change. We do that in JavaScript, so we're gonna learn that also a little bit later on. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do with the pictures, and there's also like I said before, you can put filters on it. Look, there's certain ways to do it. There's other ways that are a little bit more practical um, that would include the whole. Um, for example, if you're doing like a slideshow and you make only certain pictures, certain have a certain filter or something, then only those would change. As opposed to if you make film that's over the actual object, then all the pictures gonna have that, and then your code is gonna be much cleaner, and there's gonna be less code for that purpose. Okay, let's see what else we have here. All right, so right now let's see how we can uh, do it from our computers. If you don't want to do it on the online editor, see some of them um, are not as fast, or some of them are a little bit hard to work with. So I like to use VS Code. It's free. It's from Microsoft, and a lot of people, a lot of the developer community uses VS Code. So you can get it on Google. Just type VS Code, and then you download it on your machine. It's free. If I didn't mention it before. And there's some other ones. You can use Atom if you have Atom already. You can even use Notepad for that purpose. But you know, a code editor like this is much better because you can install extensions. For example, for HTML, there's a live server. So you install the live server, then you run it, and then when you open your HTML in a website in a browser, then every time you save, the page would change automatically. So you don't have to change something in the actual page and then go and refresh it on your website. So you know you have that you have better control of everything like that. So we're gonna start with the folder. I think it's uh, when you're beginning to make projects, it gets in the way of a lot of things if you don't have everything in the right order. So you can do it just from your desktop, or you can do it from here directly. So I can create a new file or a new folder. So I'm gonna do it right from my desktop so that you can see. So new folder, sample HTML. Okay. Okay. So in that folder, you're gonna create a file called home or index. So home.html or index.html. Whenever you upload your project to a server, that's the that is the new. I mean, that's the file that the server is gonna look for to show the website. If you don't have a web page with any of those names, then I'll give you an error because it doesn't find the main file to show. So okay, so we're starting VS Code. Go to my folder, open folder, my desktop. So you go to wherever you put it. In my case, I put it on my desktop. So it's right here, sample HTML. All right. Okay, great. All right. So here's my empty folder. So I click Control and New, or you can just File, New File. Okay, so the first one that I'm gonna create is gonna be my index or home.html. All right. Okay, that's where my HTML code is gonna go. Now I have another one. Okay, it's gonna be my CSS. CSS. And the extension for that is .css, of course. Okay, and then another one for my JavaScript. So my JS, or whatever you want to name it. And the extension for that is js.js. Okay, so now we have our 3 files. So this is the same thing that I had before on that on that browser. Those 3 little windows. So I have my HTML, my CSS, and yeah. Okay, so let's start. So first we say the document type. So doc type HTML. Let me see sometimes. The whole thing. HTML. Okay. All right. So the same thing as we did before. So HTML tag. Inside of the HTML tag, we have the head and the body. Okay. Now, in the head, that's where we're gonna link those other 2 pages, my CSS and my JS. So how do you do that? So we have a link tag. So you see right here it says rel, that's relationship. So that's gonna be the style sheet. So that's for my CSS. So I put my CSS.css because it's in the same folder. If it was somewhere else, then you'll do something like this, like dot slash to go to the directory above it. But in this case, I just keep it like that for simplicity. I don't want anything to be messed up. All right, and then the other one, style sheet script. Okay, and then we have a script. Okay, so the script is to link the JS. So we can do href and then source myjs.js. Okay. Everyone does this. I don't know why everything is. Then it should be. Let me see. Yeah, that's why we have this all the time. Now script. Okay, so yeah, you can also check in here. So these are the attributes. Attributes are the um, the things that work with that tag. For example, just to say it like that. So in this case, we have source. All right, there we go. Now it's connected. So let's try that out. So let's say, oh yeah, we gotta open this. So I already downloaded a live server in here, but if you want to use it, so just go in here in this extension icon, and then you type HTML live server. If you don't want to use it, you don't need it, and then you just install. All right, wait till that's done. So yeah, like I said before, that's gonna allow me to save, and then that's gonna update my browser right away. So let's have a browser open right here. So I can grab my file and open it in my browser. Okay, right now it's blank. There's nothing on it. So put this down there so you can see it. Okay. All right, so there's nothing on my website. Right now, let's say body. Just to see if it's connected and work, and that it works. I always test everything, no matter how many times I've done it. If I created a website 1,000 times, I always forget. So I always like to test that everything works. So we're gonna say background color, some red, and save. And then we have to update. There we go. So it works. Disconnected. The only difference now, let's see if that finished downloading. Okay. So you're gonna right click on your HTML site, on your HTML file. And then you're gonna find open with live server, or it's gonna say live server, whichever one you download. If you didn't download the same one that I did, you just open it up. It's gonna ask you for permission. Okay. All right, and it should be on. So this is the difference. So let's say I change that, and then I save. It goes right away. My browser updates, and then I don't have to save it here, and then go here, and so it just makes it easier. Okay, so for the JavaScript, it's the same thing. You'll write whatever you need, uh, your function or whatever you want to do. Let's create something in here. Let's say, okay, let's put a H1 with whatever. Let's put. Okay. So because right now I only have one H1, remember, I'm gonna use that H1 selector in here without it being a class or an ID. So you can see it here. Okay. All right. So let's change its color that we're gonna do with JavaScript now. So the difference with CSS and JavaScript and the styling aspect is that with CSS it's static, and then with JavaScript you can set it up to something like when somebody clicks on it, then you will change its color or its position or whatever it is. So let's try that out first. So let's create a function here. Says change color. Okay. So the same way that we're grabbing stuff in the CSS from the HTML, we have something similar in JavaScript. So that's gonna be document dot get element by ID or class. I use ID because I just want to grab one and it's really specific. So let me give the ID. ID is my name. Okay. There we go. All right. So in here I put the ID that I want, which name. I just named the name right now. So you can see it here. ID is name. And then I grab it with JavaScript like that. And now what do I want to do with that? So I want to change its color when I click on it. Let's say that. Okay, so the first thing is going to be the style. I'm pointing to its styling and then to its color. Remember, the color is for the text, so that's going to change the text. If I say background color, then it's going to change the box in the back of my name. So we'll do both of those just to see how it looks. Let's see, okay. I got the color, and then semicolon at the end. And right now it's black, so make it red. Then one more. Okay. All right. And then style color, say back. So in here, you saw how in CSS, sometimes you put a dash in between. It's the same name to grab it in JavaScript. The only thing is that you're gonna remove that dash, and then you're gonna make that second word capital. So in this case, background color, just like that. And then we're gonna make that white. Okay. All right, great. Save. Now we needed to know that we wanna trigger this function if someone clicks on the name. So there's a attribute where you can specify a function called onClick. So it's right here. Click, and that's another thing that's cool about VS Code or any editor. When you're typing stuff, it gives you a list of things that you can use. That way, it's easier to learn because you'll have a whole list available to you. You say, oh, which one do I want to use? Oh, this one makes sense. You can play with it. You know, that's the best way to learn. You can try all the different ones, see what they do. So click change color. Let's see. It must be the same way that I wrote this. So I did make a camel case. So that means that every letter is capitalized at the start. Let's change color. And there's a function. So I put it's the parentheses for the parameter, if I want to pass a parameter. So for certain cases, you want to say like, give it the ID, and then you put that in here. You say ID, and then if it's expecting parameter, then I'll do that. So we'll go over that later as well. So save that. Okay, and now we click on it and look what happens. You see, usually when you hover over something, like your mouse would change so that you know that it's clickable. You can do that too here in CSS. So that was my H1. So you can say colon. So that's like kind of if that's saying if you do this. So in this case, I'm gonna use hover. So you see here, you have a lot of options. So, but in my case, I only need hover. So that means if I do this, then yeah. Or you can also do cursor events. Yeah. Okay. That also does the same thing. So see right here. So whenever I go over it now, it changes because it's letting me know that it's clickable. So this is a page when I go in the first time, and then I can hover over it, and now it lets me know, oh, I can click on this. Okay. And when I click on it, then it does what I told JavaScript to do. And these are the same principles that you can apply for like menu. You know, when you click a menu, it shows up, disappears. You know, the little three lines get bigger, or gives you a drop-down window. So this is pretty much how it's happening. But the only thing, you know, you have a lot more styling on those cases, but those are the basics. So let's do a little more with JavaScript. So let's say I want to I wanted to not be there anymore, or I wanted to change into something else. So I can say the H1 opacity, put it at 0 right now. Opacity. Okay. Okay, there's the opacity. So that's the opacity is just gonna change how you can look at it. So it's gonna disappear, but the actual thing is gonna be here. So like if I do this and I say 0, let me save that. So I'm not gonna be able to see it, but look, it's still here. I can click on it and everything that I did before, it still happened, but it's just that I'm not able to see it right now. But let's say you say visibility. Okay, hidden. Okay, so see, now I can hover over, I cannot find it. So let's say if I'm making a menu or something, and then I click on the button for the menu to drop down, um, the window's gonna pop up. But what about when I close it and then it disappears? If I use opacity, it's just gonna disappear, but I'm able to click the menu. But when I use this, then the whole thing can disappear, and then I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about clicking on it by accident. So for now, let's do opacity. The reason why you want to use different ones are if you are doing something with JavaScript, for example. So JavaScript may not have the, sometimes it doesn't work with the visibility one. So what you do is you put the opacity and then you um, use another thing called C index. So just like on a graph where you have Y, X, so C is referring to the depth. So it's gonna send it back so that I cannot touch it by accident. So if I say go all the way back minus 100, that means that there's 99 things on top of it. So if I do that, but right now I don't have nothing in here, so it's not gonna work. I'll still be able to touch it because that'll be the bottommost thing. The bottommost thing right now it's the body. So right now I can just use this just for the sake of learning. So let's say opacity, and let's get this. Okay, and style opacity, and we're gonna say 1. So opacity works from 0 to 1. You can say 0.00025. That will that will work, or 0.5. I would turn it like translucent. You can do like 0.8, 0.7 around that area. It's gonna be like see-through. But in this case, 1 is solid, and then 0 it's hidden. So let's try that out. Refresh. Okay. So, oh, see, my cursor found something. So now we click on it. Boom. Now we are able to see it because I told it, okay, when I click on it, make it visible. Or like I said before, you can make it transparent or anything. So now, okay, finally see. Now you cannot see the whole thing. So yeah. All right. Any questions so far? Talk to me, guys. You're very quiet today.
Where can this be found, by the way, for the
What?
recording?
What? Oh, the recording?
Yeah.
We have a YouTube channel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like put it. If I have time, I'm gonna put like separate little videos with the lessons in there, like styling or things like that. In my opinion, that wastes a lot of time for you. Um, so my way to go, like when learning, is just like referencing it from the website. Watching the video gives you a way of like knowing how to implement it, but you would only be seeing how I did it. I want you uh, come up with your own way of how to do it. Like because that's the only way when you can control it. When you do it from scratch, you're like, okay, let me put this. I know how this works. I know where it's connected to. I know what's going on. But yeah, I'll try to make those available for you guys. If not, there's gonna be like if I cannot break it down into small pieces, then the whole video can be found on the YouTube channel of the Coding Club. Uh,
What's the
yeah,
channel name?
yeah, that's what I was gonna go to. Vanessa, um, did you send it with the first email or no? Sorry, Vanessa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was
Okay, no
on
problem.
mute. I will send you guys the YouTube channel, the link to it.
Oh, thanks. That's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, it's always great to have a bit of like give a review and such, and especially getting to like be ahead when it comes to like knowing how to code stuff.
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
especially when you're struggling with certain things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. For example, like
Yeah, JavaScript is one of the hardest ones.
well, it's because of what it does. Like it has a whole lot, it has a whole world to it. Like it's not that simple. Like okay, yeah. But yeah. If you guys are typing in the chat, let me see. You can also uh you can also talk. You don't need to be muted the whole time. Just like raise your hand or something if you have a question. But sometimes I'm not able to see the chat if if I'm busy with the video. Okay, so let's see what else. All right, so we learned so far how to um, connect the dots between the website, the pages, the files. So an index HTML, we have my website that's where the whole structure of it goes. So let me expand a little bit on that. So any elements pretty much. So that's gonna be the name, the text, pictures, images, whatever that's gonna be shown, that's gonna be in here in the HTML file. Then after that, if I want to change how it looks, I go to my CSS, and then when I wanted to do something, behave a certain way, then I go to do something with JavaScript. Okay. So far, we learned a little bit of styling and how do you connect the function from CSS to JS. Another important thing is uh, how do you manipulate information. Let's say if you have a function that does certain thing in JavaScript, and then if you have something in HTML that is taking input, and then you wanted to do something specific, how do you bring that information to JavaScript and then perform whatever it is that you needed to perform, and then appear on the website as a result? So let's see here. So there's a very useful set of tools. So we have here input. So input has a few ways of collecting information from whoever's using the website. So the first thing is the text one. It's just going to be a box where you can write stuff. Okay. Then another one that I use a lot is a checkbox. Okay. And then you have a radius, but that's more like a button. So you also have buttons. Okay, so it's a color. Okay. And we'll give that an ID. Change button. Now, one other thing I like to do is as I am putting more and more elements in my HTML file, sometimes I can have a lot of them, as much as, I don't know, maybe you have like 1,000 things in there. So I like to make comments to know where I am, because sometimes, you know, it just gets too confusing. So for example, this is my title. This is my name, for example. That's the first one. So I'm just gonna say title of, or whatever, just something that I can use to remember what it is later on when I have all of those things in there and then I don't know what's going on. So one easy way to do it is just highlight it and then control and forward slash, like that. And then that will become a comment, or you can just type open, uh, use a less than, and then exclamation sign dash dash, and then at the end dash dash, and then close the little bracket of more than. Or you can do what I did, just highlight it, control, and forward slash, and then you can uncomment it. All right. Let me show you a sample website here. This is actually my project that I did for the CUNY Hackathon. So this was done, don't judge me too hard, but because it was done in like less than 23 hours. This is one of the tools that I was talking about before. So in here, you create an account, you create a project, and right away they give you your own website. So this is my website. It's already up. It's already running. You give that to anybody from around the world, and they'll be able to access it. So this was a game that I was making for like to learn, to teach people how to manage their money and stuff like that. Yes, okay. So you see here, this is my home. That's the file where the website used to display. I have another HTML here, but it's not called home or index, so it's ignored. So this will be the main my main HTML file. So you can see here, there's a lot of stuff. So I gotta keep track of it somehow. So I do stuff like that. Like I make a little comment at the end of what it is, and then I say, okay, that's this from here, from that side. And I didn't do such a great job with my CSS. So I have like 600 lines on here. But because I named it on the other side, then I can also see what's going on this side. But see, you can see here it's 500 lines, so it's impossible to keep track of all of it. But yeah, it's same thing that I showed you here. You know, apply, take your time, learn all the other added stuff, all the little details, and most of it is a lot of repeated stuff because you know you wanted to have you wanted to look where to go. You know, you want it to look nice. You don't need like a lot of different code everywhere. You don't have to worry about, oh, I don't know this or that. Or, you know, with a simple thing like that, you can just start building something that looks very professional, or in my case, whatever that is. But yeah, then yeah, see how some of the things that I just showed already apply to what I'm doing here. So yeah, and then same idea, everything that I showed you. I have my HTML file, I have my CSS file, I have my JS file. Now this is here, this is part of the uh, of that uh, it just came with the server that was just there. That's nothing to do with my file, that this one. Let's see here. Okay, and then of course, yeah, I have my JS file. And then if, okay, and then yeah, like you saw before, where's the, okay. Okay, so yeah, I did the same thing that I show you here. I connected them the exact same way. They're in the same place, you know. I put all the styles that I needed from Google for my fonts. Um, I imported my JS file just like that, my CSS file just like that too. And that was a difference from the CodePen. You didn't see any of this, right? You can only do it on, you can only do that stuff on CodePen. And see here, mine still says home.html on the tab of the browser because I didn't give it a title. But if I want, I can just come here. Title. Some editors you have to do it like that. You have to just type it out. Some editors you just click on, you just touch tab, and then knows what you want to type in. So let me see. We'll put the name of it. We call it Ocean, and then it saves right away. See right here, it says saved. And then let me go to my website. See here. That's what it shows, and you can also put a little picture too in there in that tag, so that it doesn't show only the regular thing. It doesn't show the regular icon of like the internet. So you put whatever you want in there, and then you know it doesn't say like the generic home.html name. That's what that was for in the beginning when I was showing you how the title works. If I do this in the CodePen, that will not work because CodePen has its own tab name, which is CodePen, so it wouldn't disappear. All right, but yeah, you can see here how I connect to all that, and what's been like 80-90 minutes. So it's very simple concepts, and what I want is for everybody to take those concepts and then start adding all of those things that you saw on that website, W3 Schools or MDN. MDN is like W3 Schools. W3 Schools is just a little more advanced, and it has more JavaScript stuff. Like it goes a little more in depth. But in general, they're both pretty good, and they teach you what you have to know. And just know that for a big part of your learning journey, you're gonna be doing that. Just going back for reference until you don't need it anymore. You know. And then yeah. So for now, let me see. I got that out of the way. Let's see here. So in the next class, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in depth and in the syntax of JavaScript, and you know a little more parts of how we can incorporate it to HTML and all the other tags that are available and other stuff that you can do in CSS, such as like hovering with the mouse or checking a checkbox. For now, with this, you can make anything with what I showed you. For example, if you look here, you saw that there's many types of HTML tags, right? And you need them to build a website. No, look, I only have div tags everywhere. Look, they're all div tags. And then that makes a whole website. How here? Because they all do the same. All the HTML tags, there are space where you put content. It's like a little bucket where you you fill it up, and then that creates something that you use to create like a bigger thing. What would be a good analogy? Let's say like it's like bricks pretty much, but you choose what the bricks are made of in this case. So you see I have a bunch of bricks here, and then I put other stuff, and I only know one type of HTML tag. So you don't need to learn all of those things. You just need to know how it works and how you can use it. Yeah. Okay. So, but you have to know all the tags so that you can do whatever you want with them, and you can go through coding interviews. A lot of the stuff we're gonna learn with JavaScript will teach you how to do the challenges that many coding interviews ask for, and then it's up to you to practice every day. For me, I learned everything right away in my first semester. I learned pretty much all the programming concepts. I went out of my way. I was in class. I bought some courses outside of class. I was getting books from the library, all of that. And then I didn't use it for a few months. I was busy learning other stuff. I was like, I'm good. I really learned all of it. To my surprise, when I was like, oh, let me make a website, I was like, how did that go again? Like every single part of it, I kept hitting an obstacle. Like, okay, yeah, I gotta relearn everything again. But then what helped me was just practicing it every day. It doesn't matter how fast you learn it. It's just a matter of doing it frequently, and then it'll just stay in your head. And the most important part, you'll learn how to use it. You'll just build a whole website with one type of tag. All right. So let me see another thing that I wanted to show you too. So I already showed you the plain selector for the CSS, and then we have the class, which is dot. Let's create something. Okay, there's a picture from before. Oh, here. Okay, so what's the difference? Oh, not there. Okay, on there, on there. Okay, lots of them. Okay, so with an ID, now when I choose ID, it's gonna be like, oh, but there's all these pictures and they're all named ID. How can that work? Like ID is only to choose one thing. So what we're gonna use is we're gonna use the class. So we're gonna choose all the IDs, and then we're gonna turn that into a class. All right. So now I'll be able to choose anything that has that class. So let me, okay. Now I have all these pictures in here. Oh, I have this too. I'll show you how to use all of that later. So all of that functionality that I used also on the other website right here. Yeah, all of this and menus popping up, and let's see if it's too big. Okay, and that popping up, all that that was made using three little things. In this case, actually just a checkbox. So what it does is every time someone clicks on it, I change the look of the checkbox to look like those two little lines. Let me see. Okay. Jesus, Zoom is killing me. It has that thing on the top. Doesn't let me click anywhere. Okay, great. So this right here is pretty much a checkbox. So when I click it, it does something, and I told CSS pretty much when it's checked, when the box is checked, then you do this the same way that I did the JavaScript stuff. So yeah, pretty simple, solid concept. You don't need a lot of fancy stuff to do it. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so first I have image. Okay, let's say I want to make 2 images round, and then 2 images squared, and then 2 images have some other shape. How do I do that? This will choose all of them, so not that. And then I have class, which would also choose all of them. So I don't want that. I don't want that in that aspect. And then we have ID, which is gonna choose each of them. So we don't want that either because it's that's not what we want. So what do? I use a class, but instead of naming them all the same, I'm gonna say, okay, I want 2 squared, and then we can even put it right here, 2 squared. Okay, and then I want 2 round, so circle. 2 of them are gonna be circles. Circle. There you go. And then I want 2 of them to be a rectangle. And then I wanted them to have a, I don't know, code, a gold frame and be round or whatever. So just to show you how it works. So let's say that. So we have squared, circle. Let's see, I'm missing. Let's see here. Okay, very careful. You gotta make sure that everything is spelled the same, or you would always have errors. Okay. So not image. So we're gonna do class. The first one is squared. Squared. So what do they look more like rectangles? So how do we turn them into squares? So squares have all equal sides. So we can say the width. And give it 200 pixels, and also 200 pixels for the height. Okay, and then copy this. Okay, so the next one is circle. Okay, so for the circle, we need a image that has both. Let me see. Okay, so there we have our 2 squared images. Now we have to do the 2 round ones. So we're gonna make them squares too, and we're going to say border radius is 50%. So remember, the border radius curves the edges. So the radius, imagine there's a graph going through here, through the middle of the picture, and right now it's squared. So with the 50%, or let's do it first in pixels. So it's saying this one, for example, is saying, okay, this side is gonna be 200, and then this radius is gonna draw a shape in it of whatever half of that is. So in this case, if that's 200, then I was gonna say start curving around 100. So this is 100, this is 200, so it's gonna go down. It's gonna say, okay, 100 is here, and it's gonna say on this side, so it's gonna be like a diamond thing, and then because of the shape of the image, is gonna be a circle. I don't know how to help everyone visualize that, but yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. Took me a while to get it to. All right, so we got our two circles, and now we want a rectangle next. So I guess we can leave them like that since they're already rectangular. And then the last one is gold. Okay. For colors, there is a lot of predetermined colors, but if you learn hexadecimal numbers, then you're gonna have a better way of choosing your colors. So let me show you right here. So hex colors. So with hex colors, where did that go, man? Oh, it's here. Okay. So with hex colors, let me see. Let's go to the body background. Okay. So what they are is you put a hashtag first. So first we have red, then we have green, and then we have blue. So red and green make yellow, and then blue and green and blue make I think I forgot it was brown. Let me see. So pretty much you say say you want a red, right? So actually they use 6 numbers usually, but you can cut it down to 3 too. But it's supposed to look like this. So you have 6. So let's say I want a red. So right now I have 0 red, I have 0 blue, and I have 0 green. So it's black. So it's gonna go from 0 and then it's to 9, and then from 9 it's gonna go from A to F. So it's 15 values in total. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, not 10, 9, and then A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, not G. So all the way to the F. So if we want red, we give it a little bit of red. So let's start with 1. Okay, you cannot see it right now because red is blending with black and it's giving you brown, but you cannot see it yet. So let's turn it all the way up. So let's say very red, only red. There we go. All right, so let's say you go online and then you go to hex colors, you go to color picker, and then you want a gold color, like that. That's not gold. Let me see. Hex. Okay, this website has a lot. All right, so if you see here, they have colors that already have your hexadecimal code, and then this one's right here. It's pretty much the same. The only difference is instead of 1 to F, it's 0 to 255 because that's it's in binary. So 255 bits is the most. So that's how it's working. So regular RGB, and then you have other type of colors too, like HLSL and a few down here. But for now, let's stick to this one, or you can just put the name of it. So let's pick this one. So this one is yellow. Sorry. Yep. Say that again. 1 second. Let me see. My volume is all the way down, or I cannot hear you.
Sorry, I'm just checking on
Oh.
the time. It's almost 2 p.m.
Yeah, I'm almost, yeah. I'm just gonna, once I show that this works, that's it. All right, so you see here, so what we have the most here of is we have a lot of red and we have a lot of green, so it's yellow. And then we have a little bit of blue in there. So that's how the hex color works. Okay, and then great. Okay, so for this gold one, that was a border, and MPX solid, and then that color, and then semicolon, and then we save here, and there we go. All right, so look at that. So with the same color, we were able to manipulate. Sorry, this has nothing inside. Yeah, we were able to manipulate different or multiple objects on your website, change shapes, or do different things. All right. Class has come to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys practice on your own time.